Well, 6 decades later, has Kenya been able to eradicate the 3 evils that our forefathers envisioned to combat, that is disease, illiteracy, as well as poverty in the country? Of course, that will be our discussion this morning. Welcome to News Check. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. It is the 5th of December 2023. We're gearing up for the Jamhuri Day celebration on the 12th of this particular month. It will be a festive like no other, given that it reminds us where we are as a country since we gained independence in 1963, and of course what are the milestones we've been able to achieve in the various sectors, from the education, health, political and governance. Of course, also, where are we in terms of comparing ourselves to other nations that were just like us, at par and the same level like the Asian tigers? Where are we as a country? That is a conversation we'll be having. And of course, you can chime in into the conversation through our social media handles at KBC Channel 1, as well as at Abdiaziz Hashim 1. Of course, we'll also be getting live links from our various reporters who are stationed in various fields across the country to bring us up to speed with what is happening here in the country and beyond our borders. Let me get to introduce my guest this morning, who will help you to drive this particular show this morning, is none other than Dr. Isaac Hassan, a political and a governance expert. Daktari, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Daktari, we start on that particular note. In terms of what have we ever been able to achieve as a country, would you say we are headed in the right direction?
Good morning once again. I think 60 years is a long period. It is years that we can be proud of as a Kenyan. If we reflect back on where we began, during pre-colonial and Independence Day,
yes,
there are quite a number of significant changes that has happened across the 60 years we are celebrating. Most importantly, the Kenyans got their self-independence and self-rule, and therefore we are governing ourselves. And of course, when we are governing ourselves, we are able to make our own decisions in terms of our policy issues, in terms of our other issues that might be of significance or important as a nation. In terms of the sectors that you said we look at, let me begin with the health sector.
Yes.
We started from very far, from eradicating immunizable diseases to killer diseases like leprosy and smallpox, to currently reducing maternal mortality rates in the country. These are areas that Kenya made significant progress.
Yes.
How did we make those progress? One, we are able to empower our own medical fraternity by providing significant skills in managing several diseases, by training our medical doctors. I know 30 years ago, many foreigners who are experts in the medical field were largely in the tertiary hospitals treating our patients or Kenyans in those hospitals. This has changed. The dynamics of that particular time has changed from using foreign experts to real-time Kenyan experts who can provide significant services, from complicated heart procedures or heart operations to simple case management at the rural area. Secondly, we have expanded in terms of provision of services, taking closer those services to Kenyans. You will really find that every village in this country has at least a dispensary that treats or manages basic illnesses within the community. And of course, the recent introduction of community health workers or health volunteers also goes to the grassroots level where they will go into provide services. The other thing that we have expanded in is in terms of technology. You will find we earlier on had only one referral hospital with equipments that are able to identify or diagnose cases that are complex. At the moment, beside private facilities, we have significant government referral hospitals that provide high-level case management with state-of-the-art equipment that are able to provide diagnostic needs for any condition within the country. Our referral systems have enhanced in terms of moving a patient from one location to a more specialized treatment. Even at the rural area, where the introduction of ambulances, I remember those days we were children, for you to be treated for malaria, you are at the mercy of either a dispensary which is around 200 kilometers away from your place, or your parent, like many of ours have done, use herbal medicine or traditional medicines to find a way of treating your illnesses. And I know a number of relatives, including my own brother, who has died of malaria that will have been treated easily then. That is some 40 years back, 40, 50 years back. It is indeed true that we came from a dark era to a very light era in terms of the health sector. Finally, we have introduced currently the digital treatment management. Now with the digital world, you are able to interact with your medical expert from wherever he is in terms of sharing images being shared with an expert who is seated in Nairobi, and someone who is in Turkana or in Mandera is able to get their images reported, and the local doctor able to provide the necessary treatment services by use of the reports given by the expert at the tertiary level. So a number of things has happened. Of course, other experts, including other fraternities, including private practices, missions, non-governmental organizations, have also introduced, expanded in health provision or health services. Above all, devolution has played a great role, which has significantly given counties to manage their own health affairs. And of course, when they are managing their own, then in terms of policy, they will be able to localize their needs in terms of what kind of conditions are rampant in that area, what kind of medication or drugs must be in the buffer or in the stock. Unlike before, the policy being driven from the top level, where the policy makers were looking at the overall picture using the Kenya Demographic Health Survey, where they make decisions and decide on certain conditions that perhaps are not locally common in other areas, and drugs used to be pushed from one location to those areas. And I remember very well a number of medications or very expensive drugs expiring in our rural health facilities.
And to that note, Daktari, you see, with the advent of devolution coming in, it has had its positives and negatives as well. But you're talking on the drugs itself, the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency. You know, back then there were these challenges. Now it has morphed with time. It has changed with time due to the changing times in technology and the advancements humans we've been experiencing, especially in this country. Would you say placing institutions like KEMSA and the perennial issues of doctors' strike, the lack of medicines in hospital, are some of the challenges that needs to be addressed during this particular era?
It is true there are quite a number of challenges, and I'm not saying that we have achieved maximum benefit out of all the structures that are in place. What I was trying to imply is that we have come from very far. We have come from a dark end to now significantly progressive improvement in our health sector. Of course, we have a lot of challenges at the moment. As you mentioned, KEMSA, as an agency that is responsible for centralized distribution of drugs in the country, had also its share in terms of issues that has been for wrong reason in the media fraternity. And this is corruption. Corruption is one of the things perhaps I want to talk about overall when we finish up with the good things that we have achieved for the last 60 years. Of course, things that we have achieved must be recognized and must be appreciated. But beside that, it has come with a lot of challenges. As you mentioned, doctors' strike, issues of looking at the welfare of health workers and health facilities. Institutions in this country has significant challenges. It's not only health workers that have challenges, but again, the government looks at things from a different perspective in that where they are able to address issues that is common, a commonality in all state departments, then they are able to look at it. But I think the health sector itself, the county government need to sit and look at the health status of their own county and look at their staffing issues and issues that are emerging every other year that causes interruption within the health service provision. And therefore, what I tend to think is that challenges are not things are not, the progress we made are not without challenges. Actually, we have massive challenges with the current new development, with the current emerging issues from climate challenges, climate changes, it's to issues of global disease, pandemics, and issues that comes with population, increase in population. Of course, we have significant increase in our population. All those comes with significant challenge in the health system, and that will call for the health system being every other time modified and changed in terms of addressing the emerging issues of the day. So I think health is not something that is permanently fixed at one time. It is progressive. It's a life document, like the way when we are dealing with a document. It's a life document. Like it's every other time research shows that there are new things emerging. Every other time case management of diseases changes. With now research and technology on advanced stages, and being also part of the global society where we rely on other major stakeholders who do major research in health, things changes. There are drugs which becomes absolute, and there are cases, conditions that are being wiped out of the global vicinity, and now new diseases are emerging. So health fix once, like a building, and then move on. It's a life, continuous things that you need to progressively look at it and keenly address that issue.
And Dr. I'm sure you're aware of this conversation that has been going around the country, especially during this year, is that the facility improvement bill that the Ministry of Health as well as the governors and the county assemblies were able to pass through their various assemblies across the country, is that many people are opining that the health sector should be returned back to the national government, given that all these challenges we have witnessed at the devolved units is due to mismanagement and reallocation of those funds that are meant to help those facilities and, of course, refurnish those facilities with medicine. Are you of the idea that the health sector should go back to the national government?
If we must look at the interest of Kenyans and aim at providing quality healthcare services, something needs to be done. We just throw at county level and say you manage it as it is one of the devolved function. Health is, as I mentioned earlier on, is a complex thing, and it requires studies and research being backed by experts who know what they are doing, because you are dealing with human beings. I know there were challenges in terms of the health restructuring of the health services within the county. A case in a point is that you'll employed today from the medical school, and the same within 3 months he's appointed as director of medical services within the county. That is nepotism. That is not something that you can say. Health is a field that is highly respected, and there is hierarchy in terms of who is expert, and you become an expert or a consultant based on the number of years that you have been in the field and provided services, the experience you have gained, and of course speciality that you have gained. You will find a general practitioner, you will find a nurse who has just completed school or colleges being appointed as a medical superintendent or the head nurse within the hospital. That demoralizes those eligible experts who have been in that field for all those times, who deserve to lead the process of health service provision within the county, and of course be rewarded through promotion services. And I remember before this health was devolved, promotions were based on clear policy structure, whereby you automatically, the first entry point, the second entry point, after a year or three, after a year or 3 years, you move to the next grade. The next grade, after a period of 3 years, you move, and the rest are subjected to public service appointment and interviews. Those are the senior levels. And if that process has been quashed, and the county governors appoint their relatives to higher position or hierarchies, of course, that will have significant effect on the health service provision, because the health service provision is provided by individuals. You are the one who see the patient, you are the one who provide instructions on which kind of treatments that you are supposed to give that patient. And therefore, I think, one, as you asked, what is my take on that? Yes. I think until this structure is well established, I think I will have also agreed with those who proposed that I think it should not come to the national, but it should have its own commission, like the Teacher Service Commission, which manages the human resource as well as oversight role of the health workers within the county. The county perhaps will be given responsibility for provision of ensuring that health facilities infrastructure is in place, ensuring that logistics and transportation are in place, and ensuring that drugs flow also is not interrupted within the county service provision. Therefore, I think we need to have, if we must take care of Kenyans and we must be interested in improving the health service provision within this country, a commission like that, or similar to that one of Teacher Service Commission, will be of help, and it will be of use in terms of restructuring and reorganizing the health service provision within the country.
And it is something that the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Pharmacists and Dentists Union in the country and other medical practitioners in the country have been asking for, a similar body to what the Teacher Service Commission, so as to take care of the welfare as well as the payments of these doctors, so that we cannot see them on the streets on a daily basis like we used. Even back in the day, we do know, Daktari, there was still maandamano in terms of in the sector of the health sector. And of course, if you're just joining us, we're just touching base 6 decades later. We are looking at what Kenya has been able to achieve in the last few years since we gained independence, and we carry on with our self-rule. Have we been able to eradicate illiteracy, poverty and disease? You can talk to us through our social media handles at KBC Channel 1 as well as at Abdiaziz Hashim 1. Are we headed in the right direction to what our forefathers envisioned for us? And of course, with the first president being Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who passed on in 1978, ahead of what will be happening in the Jamhuri Day celebration that is expected to be led by none other than President William Ruto. Right now, we are touching base on the health sector, but Daktari, you have touched on a very critical issue, the human resource. Even the president has been talking about it. I'll be coming back to you in just a few. I need to take you now to an event that is currently ongoing here in the capital. We do understand, do we have our reporter Yusuf Farah? He's covering the upcoming Nairobi Festival that is expected to be held here in the country and especially in the capital from the 12th. Farah, good morning and good to see you. What can you tell us? We do hear that the committee was coming to inspect the grounds. Are we ready for the Nairobi Festival?
Yes, indeed. A very good morning to you back there at the broadcasting house. My colleague Abdiaziz Hashim, and as you've correctly put it, we are here at the Uhuru Park for the preparations of the Nairobi Festival that is slated for the 12th to the 17th of December. Of course, this being the second edition of this festival. And the committee that is supposed to be organizing this festival is here on the ground today to ascertain the readiness of the people to hold this festival. Of course, it's a festival that is being held to celebrate the cultural diversity, art and the vibes of Nairobi city. But right about now, Abdiaziz, I'd like to bring on board Dr. Anastasia Nyalita, who is the CECM, Inclusivity, Public Participation and Customer Service, to just talk to us about the readiness. A very good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you for speaking to us. Is the county government ready to host this festival?
Thank you for this question. We are more than ready. And in fact, if you come here on Sunday, you will be very surprised at the transformation. Already you can see what's happening behind us. Exciting stuff. Yeah, we expect that, if you look at the general feel and look of Uhuru Park, the new renovated Uhuru Park in itself, it brings the mood. Now that coupled with the activities that are going to go on between now and Sunday, that will really bring the entire theme of the festival to life. So we're very excited about this. I must also say thank you to His Excellency Governor Sakaja, and also convey his regards to the Nairobians, and also invite all the Nairobians to turn on mass on 12th to 17th of December to really enjoy the vibe of the city, to see what's this city made up of. So yeah, very excited.
Okay. In terms of numbers, how many people are we expecting here once the festival kicks off?
Oh wow, because we've really mobilized. So we're expecting more than 300,000 people over the entire period. That's about over the entire period of six days. That means we'll be having around 30,000 people within at any one time during the 6 days. Okay. So yeah, we're very excited. We are mobilizing, and we are asking Nairobians to turn up in big numbers and tell a friend to come and experience Nairobi, the vibe of the city.
Okay. Perhaps lastly, a very critical aspect of the festival will be the security of the people attending and the people showcasing as well.
Yeah. No, that's spot on. We have support from the national security. We have support from our own city county. So everything is top notch. We will not have any security incident. Just like last year, it went all smooth. It will equally do the same this year. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you very much, CEC. Perhaps now, Abdiaziz, let me speak to the Director of Events, Shafi Weru, at the Governor's Office. And thank you very much for speaking to us. Let's talk about the experience. What should Nairobians expect come the Nairobi Festival?
Okay, thank you very much. And for the experience, all I can tell them is that it's going to be heavy. It's going to be big. It's going to be amazing. Because remember, when you entered the when Governor took office, last year, the first thing that we did was, the festival. We did not have a long time, or we did not have enough time to plan it. Many didn't think it's going to happen, but it did happen, and it went amazing. We did not have any, issues. Yes, we had a few teething problems, but it did go on, and we had over 100,000 people walking into the festival in the course of the 5-6 days, and we had artists performing on a daily. We had one of the biggest, sherehes that some of our partners, from the beer companies, were coordinating on the other end. That is for the over 18. We had the fireworks, so we had the graffiti people, and that was then. You can imagine. Now we've had time. Yes, and we've learned from the mistakes of the previous one, which were not technically mistakes, because for the team that put together the previous festival, the first festival, that is the inaugural Nairobi Festival. They did a fantastic job, and I can assure you now the sector has taken over, and led by Nyalita, Waziri, and definitely Chief Clemo. We are ready. I've heard you talking about the security. Security, it will be an experience. I can assure you, we have all the 4 major gates that lead into Uhuru Park that will be operational. So we'll decide on the exits and the entry, but it's going to be the same as last year, because you enter through the side of Serena, and you exit from the opposite side of the Green Park. But those are security details that we don't need to share much, but I can assure you, anyone who's coming, whether you're, of in 80, 70 years, or you're talking about an 80-year-old or a 7-year-old, we'll have something for you. We'll have the kiddie zone, we'll have the esports, we'll have the balloon. You've seen, we tested the balloon with you guys here the other day. Yeah, so for the people who just thought that the balloon can only be seen or taken into the sky in the Mara, Nairobi is doing it for you for the first time in the city. You get your chance to come, enter the balloon, and then you can be able to just view the city from a bird's eye view perspective.
Thank you very much, Shafi. And there you have it, Abdiaziz Hashim. As correctly put, in a nutshell, the county government of Nairobi is ready to host the Nairobi Festival. So wherever you are, do come from the 12th to the 17th of December, and you'll definitely have a wonderful experience. Of course, we'll go ahead and take a tour of the place and prepare a story for our subsequent bulletins. But now, as we go back to the tour, let me toss it back to the broadcasting house for the news check with Abdiaziz Hashim. Hashim?
Thank you so much. That is our reporter Yusuf Farah, and I'm sure you've just slotted in your date that on the 12th all the way to the 17th you'll be there. And of course, hey, dear viewer, if you don't have any plans, there you go. Uhuru Park, starting this Sunday, it will be the Nairobi Festival. They do anticipate over 30,000 people. The security has been assured. They've just heard from the director of festivals in the capital, that is Shafi Weru, a former presenter. And of course, he clearly stated that those balloons that you normally see airlifting people around the Masai Mara now will be here in the capital. And of course, let's come back to the conversation that we are having. We are talking about Kenya at 60, and of course, the milestones we have been able to make as a young country, and of course, as a third world country striving to be in the middle income bracket of this particular of this globe itself. We're talking about the health sector. And of course, going back to what Daktari were talking about earlier, in terms of human resource in the health sector, it has been one of the pillar to what the current government is focusing on. But there is this issue, Daktari, where we're in some sense hemorrhaging, if there is a word, kind of word, hemorrhaging human resource. Some of these doctors, nurses and clinical officers, we're seeing them opting to work abroad than here in the country. Where is the missing link?
I think the missing link is obvious. Cost of living has become very high. Kenya, in terms of wage, is a bit low. Salaries are a bit low. And of course, if you are an expert, if you have been trained, if you have been trained as a health worker, and you have gained all the necessary skills to practice in any country, then people will look at where do I get a bit of benefits and make my life more comfortable. And I think one thing that has pushed the human resource infrastructure within health sector is lack of goodwill from the government system, whereby you train someone for 7 years, 5 years, 4 years, and you give this particular person a salary of less than $1,000, and of course the expectation of the community as a doctor, as a health worker, is that you must have a very good package because you have trained for one of the most prestigious skills that perhaps people will say that will going to benefit everybody. Therefore, I think the link is that our packages are not very much attractive. Number two, issues that I mentioned in regards to promotion, in regards to positioning of senior health workers within the system, and of course promotion and issues related to nepotism that has of course expanded its wings within the county setup. You'll find people employing, we know everybody needs employment. We know everybody requires good salary, and we know everyone requires good position within the county. But I think if there is human resource structure and the policies are well adhered to, then I don't think if Kenyans will wish to go to other countries to go and work. Because if you are working in other countries, you may be making money, but you may not be enjoying, because home is always the best. And therefore people will always opt to work at home when the services are better
Yes.
But when the services are not very good, then people think that they should move on. So I think the critical issue in terms of the human resource is how the human resource is managed.
Yes.
And therefore, if, like the president has mentioned, we need to dwell on a proper system that will going to handle affairs of health workers within this country. That way we will make a greater milestone in terms of improving healthcare services within the country, and of course retaining the best skills within the country. It's not only that they are going outside the country, majority of them are moving into private practice to see whether they are able to make their ends meet by doing a private practices. But again, every other time we are training medical specialists, medical experts from the universities. And it's only in Kenya you will find a lot of doctors, a lot of clinical officers, a lot of nurses unemployed. And yet they have done their internship, they have been registered within the country, but they are nowhere to be absorbed, both in the private hospitals and in the government hospitals. But again, we always cry that we don't have doctors, we don't have health workers within the country. Therefore, I think we need to improve the well-being or the wellness or the packages for health workers. Two, we need to accommodate all health workers. Where the gap exists, we need to have all of them in place. And then only when we can export skilled healthcare workers outside the country, when we have filled all our gaps within the country. Therefore, I think the way it was proposed, I still believe that if we have a commission that will going to manage the human resource aspect of healthcare workers within the country, we will be able to make some progressive improvement and provide good services, healthcare services within the county. And of course, we will be able to tap into our skilled personnel in terms of specialties in their respective field and benefit Kenyans as we establish, you know, a more healthy nation, and having more skilled people and being referred to as a hub of medical expert, like the way people are going to India now. People go to India, people go to Turkey, people go to Germany. But we are going to the same doctors. The same technologies can be available in Nairobi here. But three things have succumbed to that. One, people have decided not to regulate their cost, particularly the private and the public tertiary centers. I mean, if our cost is reduced, cost of healthcare services, then we will be able to use this place as a hub. Kenya has progressively advanced in terms of you know, several sectors. Therefore, if we improve our health care services in this place, I know very well the East African community, the Central Africa, and even the larger African nation, with the exception of Egypt and South Africa, those who are closer here and we make our services cheaper, this will be another India where we will provide specialized health services if we make a proper investment on our health sector and do a proper human resource management where we know services will be provided in a sequence and more organized way within the country.
And of course, Dr. we even saw some of our doctors taken to Cuba. We did an exchange program with the country, and of course, those doctors in that particular country were talking well of our own doctors. The problem is not, you've just said, it's not the human resource bit. People are educated, but the job market, due to the rise of unemployment. But let's quickly shift to another sector, Dr. that I know you're passionate about, the education sector. We have done away with a system that has been in the country for the last few decades, known to man in this particular country, 844 system. We bid it goodbye in the current Kenya Certificate of Primary Education. We now have told the competency, we have been told the competency-based curriculum is set to achieve what 844 was unable to achieve. Was this the right trajectory to take as a country?
Education in our country is very unique. I think there are a number of things we will achieve by changing our education curriculums, because every other year we have been changing our curriculums. But there are a number of things. I mean, in terms of the new change, 844, we used to be a junk of all trade.
Yes.
We could learn a lot of things, and when you come outside, when you come into outside market and you compare yourself with people who have been in other systems where their way of education was narrowed, you find them not to be very much creative and not very much outgoing. They are focused on what the skills that they have gained from the time they joined their schools.
Yes.
Unlike 844 product, where we could do any job and you could do it as an expert, people will view you as if you have all those skills. But again, the purpose was to have all-round skills when we had a shortage of skills. And of course, 20, 30 years, 40 years of 844 has yielded significant results. And that's why you see brilliant young Kenyans just create things out of nowhere, even in the digital world, with things that you don't expect, with, again, the shortest time possible. If you alter something as a leader, and of course that thing slightly triples over different issues, you'll see Kenyans creating a very, fancy stories out of it. And, that is skills. Those are skills. So Kenyans have skills. But again, if we migrate to a better skills, a better way of doing the education sector, where we call now competency-based curriculum. The competency-based used to happen at the level of the universities, where now you finish all your Form 4 level, where you study a lot of things, but now narrowly to a certain field where you gain your competency there. But now, if you are being nurtured from a childhood up to the level of tertiary education, then you become an expert of that particular skills, which is also a better thing. I think it's something to go for. But again, a change is as good as a rest.
Yeah.
And therefore, if we migrate from, and similarly, without even going very far, we had the same curriculum before we embraced the 844 system. And therefore, if we are going back to the other system that now we think that we're going to enhance the skill level of our young, talented people, then I think it's something to go for. But again, as you have seen, a lot of ups and downs in terms of implementation of the curriculum-based, competency-based curriculum.
Yes.
And as well as rolling out of its policy documents, which has been put into a lot of fast tracking. I think we will going to understand and probably gain proper understanding and output of that particular skills. When we go perhaps some 10 years from today, is when we are able to say, yes, indeed, with the introduction of competency-based curriculum, we have had a significant change in the skills that has been impacted in our young people. And with that, we are able to see it, because skills are supposed to be seen outside. Skills are not something that you just gain and keep it to yourself and say, so-and-so is skilled. No, so-and-so is skilled, is defined as skilled when he has demonstrated a clear picture of his skills in practical way. And so when we see many Kenyans coming with a lot of innovative ideas, a lot of innovation in terms of technology, a lot of innovation in terms of structures, building structures and town plannings, a lot of innovation in terms of manufacturing, this is the time we will going to say that indeed competency-based curriculum has impacted significant skill in our young generation. But for now, the only thing we are proud of as a product of 844, and the only thing we know 844 has yielded as a result is indeed what it has impacted in Kenyans as being all-round weather in terms of picking up skills and responsibilities within the country and outside the country.
Okay, as we wind up, Daktari, the political and governance aspect of it all, as a country, in just a minute, have we matured democratically?
Oh, it's a serious question, Abdulaziz. Have we matured? Yes. Have we matured well? No. We have matured in terms of governance, in terms of political landscape.
Yes.
But in terms of our real practice, we look like we are not very much matured. Why am I saying so? One, we have a robust constitution that was inaugurated in 2010. We have significant progress in terms of implementation of that constitution, and Kenyans have realized or have appreciated the changes that constitution has came with. But when you look at the practice of part of the government and part of the governance within the country, we still play a lot in terms of governance and leadership within the country. And therefore, I think we are heading well. I guess we are still going through a teething process.
Yes.
And I'm sure soon or later we're going to make a significant, we're going to achieve significant maturity in governance and leadership and political field arena. And I guess where we are now, we are much better than where we began in 1963. We are in advance and we are able to table our policy and leadership and governance issue at international platforms. We are indeed far beyond where other countries within Africa are, with the exception of those which have gone already advanced before we began. So I think we are very far in terms of governance, leadership, and political platform.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. And sorry for making this haste, Dr. Isaac Hassan, a political and a governance expert. We do have in store a surprise for our dear viewers. Given that KBC is your true sports partner, we're going to have the Sekafa Under-18 semis in just a few. Uganda is supposed to take on Rwanda, and of course later in the afternoon, and support is required here. Kenya are taking on our very own neighbors, that is Tanzania. And of course, we put a cap to this particular conversation. We carry it on during this particular week. You've also seen a promo running on KBC Channel 1 that of course will be entailing a number of packages touching on various issues in the country 60 years later. Are we headed in the right direction? Carry on the conversation both on and offline. But for now, I need to hand you over back to the normal programming so that you can enjoy that particular game. Good morning for now.